Jūs esate bene vienintelis lietuvių kilmės amerikietis įrašytas į tokius tarptautinius žodynus kaip who is who in America, who is who in the world, and who is who in opera. So, who are you?
I'm sorry, can you cut here? I think that's the wrong.
Yeah? Okay.
Kur Arnoldas Voketaitis?
Važiuojam, ar ne?
Yeah.
Gerai, kamera is running.
Okay.
Labą dieną.
Labas, Albert.
Labai malonu Jūs matyti šičia Čikagos lyrik operoje,
Mano namas.
kurioje Jūs iš tikrųjų dainavote daug sezonų, kiek pamenu, 19 jų buvo. Ir kaip Jūs dabar jaučiatės šitame pastate? Savo namuose ar svečiuose?
Good question. Aš jaučiuosi, I feel like I'm home again. It was all those years of singing so many operas. I've lost count. I mean, I've done over 145 variety of roles in my 5 decades or 47 years as a opera concert artist. So this feels to see the gold surrounding the theater, and above all, unfortunately, when I retired from the lyric, they had not renovated. So to see all of this is just, it's very comfortable. It feels very good. I am home.
Aš matau.
Good.
Aš žinau, kad Jūs puikiai suprantate lietuviškai, tiesiog Jums patogiau kalbėti angliškai, todėl galbūt mūsų pokalbis toksai ir bus šiek tiek keistas. Aš kalbėsiu lietuviškai, klausiu Jūsų klausimus, o Jūs atsakysite, kaip Jums patogiau.
Yes, but I want to say one thing, that I'm proud of my heritage. I wish that many, many years ago as a child that I started Lithuanian. But being married to a Lithuanian now for 36 years and hearing a mother-in-law that constantly talks Lithuanian to me, and my wife and so forth, it has evolved into my mind, but I am still leery of speaking it fluently. So that's why I beg and I requested that I do speak about whatever career I had in English.
Gerai, o dabar norėčiau paklausti apie Jūsų tėvelius, vis tik tais, kur buvo to šaknis, kaip Jūsų Voketaičių šeima atvyko į Ameriką, galbūt kai kur Jūs gimėte ir kaip pradėjote savo karjerą.
Yes, my mother and father came to America in the beginning of the 20th century, about 1906-07. They fled the Tsar, when the Tsar occupied Lithuania. They came here with the dreams of, like so many immigrants, to accrue a certain amount of finances, go back and finally purchase their farm or whatever from the Tsar. Unfortunately, the First World War came about, and that hampered and changed their life, and they settled in New Haven, Connecticut, with a great Lithuanian community there. My brother and I were born there, educated, and went on with our lives.
O kaip muzika atsirado Jūsų gyvenime? Jūsų tėveliai taip pat muzikavo, dainavo, šoko, grojo, aš nežinau, ar...
My mother was a trained vocalist and sang continuously in the Lithuanian community and in church. And I always had her voice somewhere in my life. My brother played the piano. There's a 7-8 year differential between my brother and I. So music came into my system, and then I became very attached to the brass sound, the instrument, the trumpet. So I started trumpet lessons. I played the trumpet for 12 years. I had my own little dance combo, and I played in what, at that time in New Haven, Connecticut, a very prominent department store called Johnson's Department Store, had a orchestra called the Johnson Junior Symphony. So I played third trumpet in the symphony, and it was seventh heaven.
Bet aš norėjau paklausyti, jūs prieš muzikuodamas juk studijavote ir universitete, ir
Ne.
nestudijavote.
No. When I graduated, I was playing the trumpet in high school. When I graduated from college, the lack of funding necessitated that I work for a couple of years, saved, and then started college. With the intention of getting a degree in business, and eventually in my junior year to marketing and advertising. And during the latter part of my college education, a young lady who I was dating in my youth said, "My, what a lovely voice you have. Did you ever think of singing?" I said, "No." So I started I found a teacher, Giacinto Marcosano, a nice Italian man, started my voice, and that was just an avocation, just for fun. Then the Korean War came about. I was drafted into the army, and by chance, I entered the first Army talent contest, which is a regional part of the First Army in northeastern United States. And lo and behold, I won the first Army talent contest based on 2 years of vocal study, limited repertoire. I won that, and I was entered into the national military contest, and I ended up in second place. Because of that, now see how life has a way of making you change directions. I was called to Washington to audition as classical soloist with the United States Army Band. And I only had about 3 or 4 arias, not well sung, I think, at that time. But I was asked I was taken out of going to Korea to become classical soloist with the United States Army Band. While in the Army Band, I'm going through a sequence of how this all evolved from business to music, and how circumstance changes one's life. While in the Army, on what we called at that time Armistice Day, celebrating all the services, I represented the Army on a national television show, the Arthur Godfrey Show. So I sang, and the producer of the show afterwards said, "When are you being discharged?" Well, I said, "I think I have about 7, 8 more months." He says, "Well, why don't you, when you get out, come on Arthur." This is Arthur Godfrey, who was big time in the 50s and late 50s on television and radio. Come on the Talent Scout show. So when I was discharged, I went on the Talent Scout show, and I was blessed. I won the Talent Scout show, did from 8 to 12, I think it was actually 11 weeks on Arthur's radio television show. An agent heard me, made contact with me, set up an audition with the New York City Opera. I auditioned for them, was accepted, and in 1958 made my debut in the Strauss's Schweigsame Frau in New York, and the cast was dyed. Suddenly I'm in as a professional opera singer, and that's it. It went in that direction.
Žinoma, viskas labai atrodo laimingai, jums sekėsi, viskas gerai, bet kokie buvo sunkumai pagrindiniai? Ar kokios problemos buvo, ar galbūt turėjote kažkokių ypatingų nutikimų dėl savo, ar būdo, ar dėl to, kad vėlai pradėjote dainuoti?
Well, there I was. I was 26 now. You have so many young. I mean, I graduated from college at 24. Went in the Army, even though I had started at 22 as a singer, taking lessons, the Mami Mi Mumu, all the things. And at 26, making my debut in a prominent opera house was an experience. Yet I was honest with myself in realizing I had limitations that had to be corrected. And through another circumstance, through an audition process, one of the panelists was a wonderful teacher. Her name was Elda Ercole. Elda Ercole was one of the first santucas, Mascagni santucas. So she made suggestions. We became very close friends. She gave all lessons free to me, and we developed a very close friendship. And she straightened out a voice, gave me a good extension, what they call a good extension, one-line voice. So that got me on the right track. But at that time, when you think of 1958-59, there were only 3 weeks in the fall season of the lyric opera, 3 weeks in the spring. So what did one do in between? We did industrial shows where I would go out on the road with, and the star of the show was the Chevrolet. And we'd be in the singing, see the USA in your Chevrolet. And we'd go all over in industrial shows. Then you would do summer theater, and you would, you're building. But within that whole process, you're learning, you're studying, you're being directed by your teacher what to learn. So, someone's at the door. Oh, so that's how I got into music. It's just circumstance and hopefully intellectual growth.
Aš žinau, kad garsus iš tikrųjų 20-ojo amžiaus kompozitorius Bernšteinas yra pasakęs, kad jūs esate iš tikrųjų ne tik tai artistiškas, puikaus balso, bet dar ir intelektualus ir labai iš tikrųjų giliai filosofiją besigilinantis žmogus. Tai aš dabar norėčiau jūsų paklausti apie jūsų kaip aktoriaus, kaip operos solisto, kaip žmogaus filosofinius bendrus galbūt gyvenimo nuostatas arba kuo jūs vadovaujate savo gyvenime.
See, there was a dimension I forgot to mention, and it was during that early process, 58 and 59, in my hometown, Yale University. So I was going to the drama school as an adjunct student, performing in what they called 30, 40, and 60 shows. 30, 40 is where as you are a director major would direct a 30-minute scene. And then he or she would graduate to a 40-minute scene. Then eventually, as a graduation process, they would go to a 60-minute scene. Well, there were some directors who wanted to do musical scenes, do an original little opera. So because of that, I was taken in at the drama school to attend acting classes and so forth. And it was very beneficial, very helpful. Also, let's back up another step. My very first job to make a little money while I was in high school was as an usher at the Schubert Theater in New Haven, Connecticut, where they tried out Broadway shows before they went to New York. So all of this absorption of watching people perform, movement and so forth, helped me overwhelmingly. And then within that was movement. And I was taking ballet for 6 months. Ballet. And it helped backing up again that in high school I played on the basketball team. So I had a movement to me, but there is a posturizing that is necessary in theater. And there are a lot of klutzes on stage even today. They don't know their left foot. And I beg and I respect the present school of artists, but they've got to take a little movement, get a little movement, drop a little weight, and so forth.
Jūs iš tikrųjų dainavote su žymiausiais Amerikos orkestrais ir New Yorko, ir Čikagos, ir Filadelfijos, ir bendravote iš tikrųjų ir kartu, žinoma, dainavote su daugeliu žinomų ir dabartinių žvaigždžių, operos ir žmonių. Ir sakykite vis tik tais, kokia jūsų pagrindinė kaip aktoriaus, kaip solisto taisyklė galbūt yra?
I'm wondering if I understood that question. Yes, I I had the privilege over these years to sing with some of the great legendary conductors. It started, the first legendary one was in 1960 with Leopold Stokowski. And we were at the New York City Opera doing, it was a combination of Oedipus Rex and Carmina Burana. And I have a wonderful letter that he wrote me that I treasure. And then it was like Leonard Bernstein. Leonard Bernstein, another one who I was very flattered that whatever intellectualization I may have imparted in performing, he did pick up on it. And many years later, when I, prior to his death naturally, he wrote me a letter that I treasure and used as a form of reference when I went into academia as a artist in resident and directing operas. But that was the operetta, and I had the pleasure of many celebrated conductors here at the Lyric. But a great portion of enjoyment I got was with major symphony orchestras. Here in the Chikagos, with Gennady Rozhitsvensky, who, when I did the Shostakovich 13th, singing in Russian, mind you, and working diligently for a year, because these are all Yevtushenko's poems, Baba Yar, you know, the story of that, the imprisonment and the suffering. A conductor who would start and not stay on a podium, but wander in amongst the orchestra, get in front of the clarinets, and then walk over to the brass, and it was a wonderful experience. I think that's the first answer, the first portion of your, the latter part, Alberte, I may not have comprehended or understood properly. So.
Aš noriu. Dar klausimas apie jūsų brangiausią vaidmenį, galbūt svarbiausią, ar kuris jums...
My favorite?
Taip. Koks jums brangiausias yra?
Easy. No question about it. Operatically, my favorite role, because it required me finally to read Cervantes. And it's Don Quixote, or as the general public would know, musical theater, the Man of La Mancha. It was a character, if any of your audience have read the Cervantes, that embraces all the emotions of one's life. You have happiness, despair, adventurism, and all the way from to death. So handling that, doing that role was an adventure of love. It was totally. Yeah. Then there was a great role which I premiered at Bellas Artes in Mexico, in 2 consecutive years, 12 performances. I loved it. Great role. And at that time, I was slimmer. And there's an expression to that character is persona con triste figura, the person with a slender figure. And I had more of a figure at that time. But then there are other roles. There was Mephistopheles, there was an opera, and I love a role that I did 68 different productions of and over 240 performances was Don Basilio in The Barber of Seville. That was my European debut in Barcelona, and sang that literally everywhere. In fact, I even sang it here at the Lyric. Another great role that I enjoyed very much with orchestra on the concert stage was Bartók's Bluebeard's Castle. Just two artists, very dimensional of a man searching for love and the inquisitiveness of wives, and never, always curious, what's behind that door? What is over there? Well, and you know, Judith, don't ask any questions. So there was a character that one had to be very stationary, but had to be very expressive in tone and command. It was another great role. but I did over 145 roles. Comedy, I love Don Pasquale, I love Elezir d'Amore and Lithuanian Meilės Eliksyras. Very, very flourishing type of roles. So there are many, but Don Quixote has to be at the top of the list.
O jūs vadovaujatės Don Kichoto charakterio bruožais, būdo savybėmis gyvenime? Jūs gyvenime Don Kichotas?
Well, if it'll go back, it almost answers one of your questions that I had when you and your charming wife called me for this interview about life. And there's an aspect of Don Quixote. He's chasing windmills, always searching. So if I impart that kind of character, I do. We're always searching. Yeah. We're always searching.
Ir meilė jūsų gyvenime, draugystė, prasmė gyvenimo.
Šitą dabar gal neklausti, gal tenais visų paklausinėsim. Dar prašau paklausti, ar vis tiek tebėra jaunas vyras, ką dabar veikia, ar nepasiilgsta teatro? Now he will ask about what you are doing now, while you are...
Oh, I thought that was the last question. That was the last question. But we finished with your career. Now what are you doing?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that are we all over?
Okay.
No.
Last question. Sustabdom tą.
Do you know the 6 characters in Search of an Author? The Pirandello? Played the character who is the stage manager. It takes place in the theater, and he's always walking around. Has anyone seen my hammer? I mean, in vocal sense. And then he goes, boom, boom, boom. Look, I found my hammer. Just reminded me of that. Just opening up the mind, the venues of the mind. Okay.
Taigi, kokie sunkumai jūsų tikrai labai įdomiame ir teisingame, sakyčiau, kryptingame karjeros kelyje?
Well, a career path can take many ways. My career path, in essence, I never had a difficulty. I never had a difficulty like some, because I was fortunate to win these talent contests. An agent comes out of the blue, sets up an audition. I'm accepted by an opera company. The only difficulty is what to do in between your operatic engagements. So then you're auditioning and reading for other agents in other venues, musical theater, these industrial shows, and so forth. But during all of that, you're learning. You're never backing off. You're never staying stationary. You're always progressing. And the most crucial thing of any career is discipline. Discipline, regulation of time, always advancing, always thinking ahead, and always remembering that there's someone looking over your shoulder. There is nothing like going on a audition when you hear other basses or other bass baritones. The difficulty is people listen to other people. You have to have a very strong, honest evaluation of your talent, of your abilities. Understand your limitation. Keep them to yourself. Try to correct them. But there is a poem called The Man in the Glass, that the person one must satisfy through all his life is always the person staring back from the glass. If you're dishonest to yourself about your talent, you're going to fall over a cliff, you're going to be in a hole, you're going to be miserable. And then, along with the discipline, since the voice is what we call the slowest developing instrument, you have to have that patience, not impatience. The voice almost develops in 5-year cycles when you're young. You're in 5-year cycles. And you have to, well, if you have that in your mind and have that patience, okay, but many young people don't have that patience anymore. They are taking operatic roles that are not right for them. They're abusing their voice. I may be, the chorus is singing. No, I love that sound. All the years that I sang, and having shared the stage with many of the great artists, I tried to find what was the common
Čia paklausėte apie misiją, apie...
Do you think we should hold it? This is getting very really...
It's getting too much.
Yeah.
Mes laikykimės už kameros tada. We together.
You want to do it, you are not a shittest aisle so the tables won't be in the back.
Home again, I'm home. Going home, I'm going.
The lyric opera of Chicago, La Scala East. Yeah. Many a performance, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Labai aišku, bet gerai, okei. Okei.
Yeah.
It's easy to make sure we clear that off. All right, going up stage nice and back up front. We got about a half inch. Before we hit the steel. Come up a little bit.
Yeah.
They're busy. Oh, what a golden ceiling.
You know, in 1960, I sang outside of New York. I sang my very first major big role in New Orleans, and it was, I don't know if you know the name, Chester the Sea. This shit stinks too. So no, because I was in awe. The guy, was the greatest Don at that time, and all that, and he turned out to be a great guy. But he's, it's the first time I.
Ar jūs kaip menininkas turintis didelę patirtį sutinkate, kad žmogus turi atlikti misiją savo gyvenime? Ir ar jūs ją atlikote?
You know, that's a very interesting question about what is a mission of life itself. What is our responsibility, or what legacy individualistically one leaves? As far as the theater is concerned, the mission, we go right back to the Greeks and their approach toward the theater in its importance. We know a mission is to entertain the people. My personal mission is like life itself. It's a mystery. You have general goals, but you just don't know what tomorrow will bring, because tomorrow is never guaranteed. We do try to look ahead, but a mission, my personal mission, when I got on the stage, after I finally accepted what God-given talent I was given, how I nurtured that talent, was to hopefully bring an enjoyment to my character, to the audience above all, who were there to witness this. And it's since they paid a good dollar, it's our responsibility to please them. Because if we don't take it at that dimension and change within the art form itself, all of it will die. So it's our mission, our responsibility to do the best job we can and compete. Now we are competing against a form of entertainment that anchors people at home, that don't get out. Plus the fact that the live experience, many people, 85% of our populace has never, if you can believe it, has never seen a live performance, theatrical performance. And perhaps 10% have seen maybe two performances in their lifetime of a theatrical adventure. And then you look at the remaining 5% that keep this art form, the live art form, the musical theater, going. So we have a mission, is to hopefully, I would think, to induce that 85% that has never seen a live production to come on board, come to the theater. There are a lot of adjustments to be made. It's financial, production costs, keep prices elevated or so. But our mission to those existing artists now is to entice a new public that is there waiting to be enticed. So that's it.
Jūs manote, jūs atidavėte, darėte viską, kad atliktumėt savo misiją?
Did I complete my mission?
Yeah.
I don't know. I gave it 47 years, as I mentioned, 5 decades. I think I would love to keep it going and hopefully allude to that mission of getting new people into the theater, is that we are all faced with an aging process. My voice was still fine when I left the theater, but it did not, the recuperative powers of the body were not there. And the elasticity of a voice starts to wane. It doesn't have the ongoing ability to keep going. There are those artists who try to, again, be honest with themselves, are not honest. They go on and they perform with they call in the medical profession, and that I alluded to in my book, it's myasthenia. And myasthenia is when the cricoids of the throat, of the larynx, that hold the column of air that flows out, if those cricoids weaken, then you get a big, severe wobble. Whoa, 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 whoa. And that's why I wrote the book, when I hear young people who should never be in that state getting a early myasthenia, which then it could lead to even nodules and so forth. So the question was the mission.
Yeah.
Did I complete the mission? You know, Columbus set sail not knowing where his destination was. Yeah. And that's a very good question, and it's to give a proper answer from my perspective, I don't know. I don't think it was complete. But that as a performer, my mission after I left the stage was to become a director, a teacher, a writer, to infuse a younger generation with an enthusiasm. When I was at DePaul University or at Auburn University in Alabama, was to get youngsters to open up their minds, to have a sense of imagination, which parents don't have, and kids don't have, because all the imagination is being handed to them on a platter. So to try to induce, to give them the idea, I would have classes where I would say, kids, open up, talk about yourself. One thing, they never talk, if I ask you to talk about yourself in front of a class, it's very intimidating. Yeah. It's very difficult. But as soon as I unlock that door to them, suddenly their assignments, more illusion, more interest. They gave me that imagination that I was looking for. So that, after my singing career ceased on the stage, that was my mission, if I have to allude to that.
Bet aš žinau, kad jūs savo misijos tikrai nebaigėte ir labai dabar padedate Lietuvai, ir gal trumpai, ką jūs dabar veikiate?
Ką aš darau dabar?
Taip.
Well, as you know, okay, I got to cut here, because it's not the sequence. No, turiu pabaigsiu tą.
Yeah.
Pabaigsiu viską, turiu paklausyk apie love, friendship.
Yeah, tai aš galvau dabar.
That would have been the wrong thing.
Okay.
The end thing is...
Paklaus, kad jūs buvote ir pedagogas, ką jūs atsakytumėt, ką jūs pasakytumėt, jeigu jūs paklaustų, kas yra meilė, kas yra apie tokias gyvenimo.
Yeah, suprantate, atsiprašau. No, I'm sorry. But I just, it could have been slight.
Jūs esate ne tik aktorius, vokalistas, bet ir pedagogas, režisierius, rašytojas.
Ačiū.
Ir ką jūs atsakytumėt jaunam žmogui apie tokius, sakyčiau, banalius dalykus kaip meilė, draugystė, pinigai?
Oh boy. When you and your wife asked me to do this interview, I did ask what some questions you would ask. Not all, but you did ask me what would be what I thought of love, friendship, the meaning of life, and the value of money. Whew. Okay. I sat in my comfortable chair trying to define what love is. That has perplexed people, philosophers, since time immemorial. And love is a word that is so abused in our society. I can't attest to in Europe, but it's a word that I love my pet, I love my dog, I love my spaghetti and meatballs, I love my wife. Each has their own definition. In your mind, to try to write it, I think is very difficult. But with that in mind, I have, voilà, magique, as they say in match. And I found, and it reminded me of some comments by Greek philosophers about love. Here is one I think is humorous and truth in a way. Love is a serious mental disease. Possibly. People have done a lot of crazy things, good and bad, because of love, as we all know. Then, that was by Plato. Plato said that. Now another Greek poet, Prospertus, said, everybody in love is blind. Okay. Why is it blind? Because I would think the definition of love, very difficult. And then, for the real romantic, love is a spiritual fire. That is anonymous, but I agree. So, with these little notes I made for myself, knowing that you were going to ask me this, I beg that your audience allow me to use these. And now, what was the next one? Friendship?
Friendship.
Aha, okay. Here is one. Of course, I'd mentioned to you before we did this interview, is that, and Emerson, the great writer, the only way to have a friend is to be a friend. And when one has a friendship, one understands that friendship. So a number of years ago, I was privileged to be asked to be one of the speakers at a very close friend of mine who was retiring as the head of the small animal clinic at a veterinary school at Auburn University. We were very very close, a great man, a great veterinarian. So within the context of that speech that I gave, I said that a true friend is one soul in two bodies. In essence, a real connection. You know it. You know, you really know when a friend is a friend. Not an acquaintance, a friendship. If we can accumulate 2 or 3 friendships in a lifetime, that's a mission. There you acquired a mission. So that's in friendship. Now, when you mention the life, we always try to find our place in life. Why are we here? What is the purpose? We're always searching. That's applicable to mission in life too. But there are also a few humorous things that I had written down over the years. I always keep a little notes. And when I think of something, or I see something in a newspaper, or in a book I'm reading, or whatever, I write it down and I put it in a box. I call it my note box. You know, I pull out things, and if I need it for an occasion. So this one is about life. I remember reading that it is a jigsaw puzzle with most pieces missing. Big question mark. You can't finish it because what is that mission? We do not know what is going to lie ahead. And I like this one. It's a long lesson in humility. Humility. And then this one can be a little difficult. It's called a gleam of time between two eternities. What is life? Between two eternities. Birth and death. It's just a flash. And you, being a theater director, will know this and appreciate that. Our whole life, all we do is like a play. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, curtain comes down. Okay, what's left? Dragon.
Money.
Dragon.
Yeah.
The smakas of life. It's money and the value of money, the horrors of money that corrupts people. We all know, one understands the basic value of money, the betterment of life, the accumulation of physical goods. But it can be also we can also become a slave. The more you have, the more you want. The more you have, you want. So that, in one of my notes was what I read somewhere, what Tolstoy said. He said, money is a form of slavery, impersonal, that there is no human relation between the master and the slave, which I think is, if one comprehends. And also, if you know the value of money, go out and try to borrow some.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. That's on those notes, and thank you, audience, for letting me and for giving me those questions last night to ponder. Very tricky to be offhanded about that.
Thank you. Ačiū tikrai ir labai norėčiau paklausti jūsų, ką jūs dabar veikiate, ir aš žinau, kad jūs padedate Lietuvai labai daug. Jūs išsiuntėte į Lietuvą visus savo muzikos, visą savo archyvą, į muzikos akademiją padovanojate ir kad padedate garsiai lietuvių pianistiai Mūzai Rubackytei. Tai jeigu galima.
Well, tikrai, when I finally brought down the curtain of my career, which was on Chicago's WFMT, I gave a big 2-hour concert. And then it proved so successful that they asked me to do a concert again. Now this is what I'm leading to. Then I realized 2 hours of singing my persona, my inner soul. I love dramatic contents or an energized comedic thing. So I realized by talking like we're doing now and singing, going back and forth, I could not do that again. I could not do that again. So by reputation, I knew of this great Lithuanian pianist, Mūzos Rubackytės. I found her, I got her telephone number and called her and asked if she would like to come to America to share the program with me. She lives in Paris. And she did come, and she was stupendous. Lithuania should be proud of this great, great jewel of an artist. She's remarkable. And I could understand why, when the Soviets occupied Lithuania, she was a graduate of the Čiurlionis, the Conservatory of Music, then went on to the Moscow Conservatory and eventually won all union. All union. And then she wins in Budapest, she wins the Liszt Bartók competition, one of the world's international competitions. But because she was Lithuanian, Lietuvaitė, the Soviet, I have a better name I would like to use, but it's not possible. The Soviets denied her a passport or visa to go out and fulfill the multitude of contracts that were offered her. So she lost this 10, 11 years to the West. So, With Perestroika, she comes to Paris, enters and wins the Paris International, and is now presently a Le Grand Maître Français, a Grand Master of France. With all that information and mismanagement by an inadequate agent, I asked her that since I'm entering a new chapter in my life, that mission of life that we talked about, let me try to find an agent for her. And I called my contacts. Rosters were filled. Even if she came down on a cloud, when rosters are filled, no way. So anyway, aš pakėliau tą gauntlet and ventured into a mysterious world for me of management. But I had a golden, great artist. And Mūzos was patient with me, and we became colleagues. We're friends, naturally, good friends, and colleagues. She knows that I understand the theater of performance. So it's now been 3.5, 4 years, and I've been fortunate that in America, I'm representing her just for North America and South America. In South America, I'm sharing that responsibility with from an agent in Rio de Janeiro. So in America, she has appeared with 8 orchestras already, 5 recitals. She just finished with Leonard Slatkin and the National Symphony at Wolf Trap in Washington. That graciously Ambassador Ušackas invited 40 or so dignitaries there. 7,800 people roared their approval, 2 standing ovations, encore. She was remarkable. And the day of this interview that I'm giving you, she's playing in Oregon at the Brit Festival, and then returns to Paris on Sunday, on the following Sunday. So that has been an experience for me, but gives me a purpose of doing something, and I cherish it. I cherish it. So that's it. That's what I'm doing in this chapter, this final chapter of my life.
Ir paskutinis mano, galbūt daugiau ne klausimas, bet prašymas yra, kada jūs atvažiuosite į Lietuvą?
Well, I would like to come to Lithuania and check on all those opera scores I sent to Lithuania, 145 opera scores at the conservatory. And one day, my wife, Niola, has been back 3 times. I had been invited to come and direct during the Soviet occupation. But there were people that suggested that I not go, that it would be like, what is the word I'm searching for? I would be endorsing. Endorsing, that means I would be accepting what they were doing. So my refusal was on the basis of I'll wait until Lithuania is free again, and they've been free now, liberalized for 11 years, but I have not gotten an invitation since. But maybe one day it'll come. I do want to visit the land of my mother and father. My cousin, Arnoldas Voketaitis, was a real partisan, a kovotoja is the word, is that it? A freedom fighter, and my family name Voketaitis. There is a gatve, or a street named after Voketaitis in Kaunas. So I would like to visit that. And my wife always tells me, Niola always tells me, that the green of Lithuania is so much greener than the green in the United States that I'm anxious to see it. We'll be arranging that soon. But when I come to Lithuania, I want to see one of your productions. I want to see you directing one of your shows.
I promise you, really.
Okay, and, you promise me that's your mission of life.
That's my mission. Yeah, that's my mission. Aš manau, kad Lietuva ir lietuviai ne tik muzikos pasaulyje, bet iš tikrųjų vertintų tą jūsų indėlį, jūsų darbą ir jūs vis tiek, aš manau, per daugelį metų buvote tam ambasadorius Lietuvos Amerikoje.
Atsiprašau, aš noriu sakyti vieną daiktą. And this is for Mūza. Mūza is the real artistic international ambassador for the arts for Lithuania. She should be given that title. I hope that Lithuania realizes that. She performs all over the world with great pride and for Lithuania. And I want to see Lithuania bestow that kind of rank upon her. But I want to thank you, your wife, and Mr. Ranetskis, who has done so much for Lithuanians and bringing notoriety to the Lithuanian ethnicity to Chicago and everywhere. And I am very grateful as well as other Lithuanians.
Ačiū Jums tikrai ir aš labai vertinu pažintį su Jumis ir man tai yra didžiulė staigmena, nors aš jau čia ne pirmą kartą Čikagoje.
Ačiū Jums.
Ačiū. Yeah.
Okay, let's do it all over again.
Okay, action. Action? Action.
So this is the lyric opera. This is the lyric opera. We want. Yeah.
Thank you. This is the lyric opera.
Is it much to make those DVDs of Mūza? Is it a trouble?
I have a trouble with my equipment. And the trouble is I'll ask someone else to do that because I bought, when you were talking about China.
China.
Didn't we talk? Oh no. And it was performing pretty good, pretty well, but then somehow it got stuck and I cannot do any archives on DVDs now.
Well, do you have the DVD that I can have? I can have a copy made. Is it normal?